the invisible killer.
Welcome! Today, we're taking a deep dive into the information you've provided, specifically focusing on the surprising effects of salt, sugar, and carbohydrates like rice, noodles, and even bread and cakes on our livers and kidneys. We'll meticulously examine why these everyday foods, according to the data, are described as having terrible killing power. What exactly is going on here? The most alarming phrase right from the start is terrible killing power. The idea that salt, sugar, and refined carbohydrates could severely harm our liver and kidneys sounds serious. What exactly does this refer to? From this information, the kidneys are a major focal point. The data states that salt, especially certain forms of sodium, and carbohydrates directly damage the small filtering units within the kidneys, and this damage, once done, is irreversible. So think about it, if this damage keeps accumulating, it could eventually lead to kidney failure. The data even describes the situation of dialysis, going several times a week, lying there for hours while a machine filters your blood. This isn't just a time commitment. The financial burden is also immense, potentially even draining a family's entire savings. Beyond the kidneys, the liver also sounds quite problematic, especially the mention of it being half damaged without even feeling it. Yes, this is precisely what makes the liver so tricky. It has very few pain receptors. So the data suggests that even if a lot of its function is already compromised, perhaps even half damaged, our bodies might not feel anything at all. By the time symptoms actually appear, it's often already quite severe, and the liver's functions are incredibly vital, synthesizing necessary substances for the body, detoxification, aiding digestion, and more. Once it's damaged by diet, many other bodily systems will also start to malfunction. And just like with the kidneys, this damage is irreversible, both silent and irreversible. It's truly dangerous. The data you provided also specifically distinguishes between salt and sodium, which is quite interesting. This is a key observation. The kind of salt we typically use for cooking is very salty, but its sodium content isn't necessarily the highest. Instead, many processed foods, like the bread and cakes mentioned in the data, or certain fast foods like McDonald's, contains very high levels of sodium salts to enhance flavor and texture. But the crucial point is that they don't necessarily taste particularly salty. So this is the hidden sodium now. Imagine this high sodium combined with the high fat and high sugar mentioned in the data, plus emulsifiers for a smoother texture. Well, these things make food tastier. This combination is an absolute killer for the liver and kidneys. Besides the kidneys, the data also mentions sodium's effect on blood vessels. Too much sodium can make our blood vessels lose elasticity, becoming stiffer and more brittle. What does this lead to? They become more prone to blockages, and in severe cases, if a blood vessel ruptures, like in a cerebral hemorrhage, the risk might increase. The data mentions the symptoms of numb hands. This could also be related. Poor blood vessel elasticity leads to poorer blood circulation. Since the liver is so silent, does the body give us any other warnings? The data states that about a third of people might truly have no obvious warnings at all. This is the most concerning part. Others might experience edema swelling, such as swollen feet, a swollen abdomen, or puffy eyelids. These are all signs, like the body telling you, hey, there's a problem. However, the data gives a very urgent warning here. If these warning signs appear and you still don't change your diet, especially if you continue consuming excessive salt, sugar, and carbohydrates, the situation could worsen very quickly. The data even uses the phrase, at most 2 years until the body collapses. Amidst all this somewhat unsettling information, does the data mention anything that might be helpful or protective? Interestingly, it mentions curry leaves. The data suggests that curry leaves have a certain protective effect on the liver. It doesn't say they can repair already damaged parts. but they can, to some extent, help the liver fend off external attacks. However, the data still emphasizes that even with such protection, the most important thing is to address the source, that is, to eat less or stop eating those harmful foods.
So, circling back, the core message remains about what we choose to eat every day. Either you cherish your body and must make the difficult decision to give up these liver and kidney damaging foods, or you might have to face the consequences described in the data, such as dialysis or other health problems. The data even gives an example of someone who would rather sacrifice their health than stop eating what they want. This truly is a personal choice that, to summarize, the data you provide paints quite a stark picture. Common foods on our tables, salt, sugar, rice, noodles, bread, cakes, can potentially pose a hidden, sometimes imperceptible, threat to our liver and kidneys, two crucial organs that are difficult to heal once damaged. This is why the data constantly emphasizes the terrible killing power, because the impact is profound and difficult to reverse. This content truly reminds us that what we eat every day quietly lays the foundation for our future health or plans hidden dangers. Finally, this data also leads us to ask a question. After understanding these potential risks, is there even one tiny dietary habit that you might consider adjusting or learning more about for your long-term health? This isn't meant to frighten anyone, but rather to inspire a deeper level of care and consideration for your own body.